stroked out and died over it. You're watching a different show. It's donkey. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. Don't do this to me, Harry. The Ohio State. It's Ohio State. What do you mean, the? 312-988-15.
Hello?
You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks. Happy Halloween edition. Again, I may or may not have something for the kids tomorrow. A little trick-or-treat special for you. Oh, listen. I'm enjoying that Notre Dame doesn't play this weekend. I don't know about you. I'm enjoying the little break. I need the little break. It's the last little break until whatever this November rush is going to bring us. I don't know whether it's going to be a November to remember or a November to forget. I don't know what we're going to get here, okay? But I'm gearing up for it. And the other thing is, I don't think, how do I want to say this? I don't think I am prepared to be mad at this CFP committee yet. But I think it's coming. I think it's coming. Because all it's going to take, you guys, is if the first batch of these 12 teams, the playoff committee's first batch of 12, if it follows no logic whatsoever, I don't know where you go from there. I don't know where you go for that. If the very first batch that comes out Tuesday of this group doing their rankings or whatever, and it just doesn't follow any logic, I don't know where you go from there, man. Like, it's just going to be a bad start with this committee. It's just going to be a bad start with this committee, man. Adam with the $10 holler. Heather Dinich said Texas A&M will be ranked higher than Notre Dame in the first CFP rankings. She said Notre Dame will be more like 12 or 13. I guess you have no right to complain if you lose to Northern. Number one is, I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but why is Heather Dinich like the top brain in college football? What is everything she says gospel? What do I care what she thinks? Just ignore. You got to be pretty arrogant. You got to be pretty arrogant to think your brain is smarter than games that happen on a field. Think about it. Think about what I'm telling you. How arrogant do you have to be to think your smart football brain knows better than game results that have happened on a field this year to differentiate teams? George is saying head-to-head matchups don't show who's better anymore. Why play the games then? Like, this is a big philosophical discussion. Why play the games then? If the head-to-head results don't matter, if the head-to-head results don't matter, why play games? You should just rate everybody off potential and their recruiting ranking and forget the games then. If head-to-head doesn't tell you anything. All right, let's get into this and I'll settle down a little bit. But there's like a bigger philosophical exercise here that I'm not understanding. That I'm just not understanding. And I understand NIU. I know NIU. I know that's a bad loss. I don't need people to remind me that NIU is bad. And that it's when you lose to Northern, it's bad. I know. But that's not the end of the discussion. All right, let's get into this. I got callers. I got to get to the good docs on the air. Terrence is on the air. We're going to get to these callers. But I'm just telling you, my head is going to pop off my carcass if they come out here and it's just and these first rankings make no logical sense or whatever, and we're not going to honor head-to-head results. I don't even know why we play games. Thanks for being here. You can find the program on YouTube. Do it, subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps John out as well. Notifications on that way you don't miss nothing. Twitter, search bar Always Irish Rant. Always Irish Inc. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want it. You can get it if you don't want to see my face. Nobody blames you for that. I don't want to see it either, but I'm stuck with it. The call-in lines. 312-900-8815. You dialed up. Tell Uncle Yanni Boy all you've heard and seen. How about Notre Dame Fighting Irish, brought to you by SI? Read all about it every day. I'm averaging 3 articles a day, 365 days a year. I write 3 articles about Notre Dame football a day. That is just my life, and I love it, and I wouldn't want to do anything else with it, even if it's making me lose my hair and my sanity, and I think it's making me do both. How about patreon.com/Always Irish? He the former captain. He the leading tackler. It's Mike Goolsby and myself breaking it all down. Him and Jared Clark. Oh, they were breaking down the offense against Navy late into the night last night. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Those guys love film so much. Jared and Mike, they both like crack a beer and look at this film for hours, and they go till like 1 or 2 in the morning, and they're breaking down all the film, and Mike's doing all the defense. They're both doing the offense together, and they just go and go and go and break it down, and they love it. It warms my heart to see these guys that love football that much. It's just beautiful. All right, so a couple things that I want to go over today. Number one is, I want to know what do you believe Notre Dame could do to get better over this final break? That's something I want to know. Do you feel like this team just is what it is at this point, and you're just going to get what you're going to get, and you hope we can win 4 more games? Or do you have real hopes that there are practical things this team could actually, even though it's later in the season, other than just getting healthy, practical things that this Notre Dame team can work on to come out and put together a strong November to remember. Okay. So I wanted to, God, I sound like that. I sound like a horrible car commercial. The one where they're like, oh, if you want to buy a Mercedes, get one free, November to remember, or whatever. And then I'm always mad at the TV. Like, yeah, bro, that's in everybody's Christmas budget to buy 2 brand new Beamers, one for you and one for your lady. Get real. You kidding me? Anyways. So we'll see if it's in November to remember. I said other than getting healthy. I want to know what else you think. Like, can this offense do some new things or some better things in the last month? It would go a long way. So I want to know what you think of that. I want to know what you're watching for this week. And here's another question I have. Does anybody believe in Penn State? It's a big question I got. I celebrate Toyotathon every year. Yeah, I run through the snow-filled hills with my golden Labradoodle and my wife, and we buy a bunch of SUVs for Christmas, and everything's perfect. You out of your mind? I hate these commercials that aren't in the real world. And you know what else? The commercials not in the real. This pisses me off every single day. Every single day, this makes me mad. Every single day, you got an SUV commercial. It doesn't matter what brand. You got an SUV commercial, and they're driving this SUV in the off-roads. They're driving the SUV through the swamp. Oh, we're taking an off-road, kids. And they're going through the mountains and the hills, and there's a mountain lion, and there's trees, and they're driving through the rocks, and they're climbing mountains in their SUV or whatever, all to show you what this SUV is capable of or whatever. You know what? Can it drop the kids off at practice without breaking down? Who in the hell is driving their SUV through the mountains? You got a bunch of kids in the back seat. Oh, kids, we're going off-road through the wilderness. Said no family in America ever. Can it drop the kids off at soccer practice without breaking down? Oh, we're driving through some raging rapids, kids. On the way to soccer practice, we're driving through some raging rapids. Get serious. Bothers me every day. Bothers me every day. Oh, this is off to a great start, isn't it? I'm already sweating. 9 minutes in and I'm already sweating. Anyways, I want to know if anybody believes in Penn State whatsoever. My position, callers, I'm coming to you. My position on Penn State, I've been saying it for years. I'm going to say it again. Penn State is Notre Dame, Brian Kelly. Don't recruit elite, but pretty good. Gonna win most of, if not almost all of the games they should win. And then they're going to lose when they play somebody that moves the needle. That has been the Penn State, James Franklin. Every time you buy in and they play Michigan or they play Ohio State and you're like, oh, maybe they could beat them and move the needle and change the narrative, then they fall flat on their face. Am I supposed to believe they're going to be able to do it this year? Why would I think it's going to be anything different? Prove it. Ryan Day, prove it. Go out there and beat Ohio State. Go out there. You guys, what if I drove one of those cars? Have you seen one of those? Have you seen those like mini, like, I don't know if they're in the city, big cities, like the mini little car that looks like a little go-kart. And I think it's like eco-friendly and for people in big cities. And it's like literally a little go-kart kind. It's like this tiny little thing. How much would you guys laugh if I was just driving around in one of those around town, and one of those little tiny things? It's like a little go-kart where if somebody rear ends you, your body's crushed. I don't know if it's a smart car. It doesn't seem smart to me to be in a car that's so small. If anybody taps your bumper, you're dead. That doesn't seem very smart to John. What's smart about that? I want to know what's smart about that, man. Those cars are so small. If anybody taps your bumper, you're a goner. I don't think that's smart. I don't count that as smart, man. Oh, boy. I'm serious. All it takes is the idiot behind you to be on Twitter for 1 second looking at Always Irish's tweets, and you're a goner. I don't think that's very safe. I don't think that's safe. Anyways, no, I don't trust Penn State. You got to prove it, bro, and they never do. They are literally Brian Kelly, Notre Dame. Don't recruit elitely, but pretty good. Beat most of the teams they should beat, and then lose against the best teams. And it's usually not even competitive or close. So we're going to see if they can change the narrative and really turn the heat up on Ryan Day and Ohio State. However, I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. I just don't. I've never seen it from them, and I don't trust it till I see it. It would be interesting if it happened. Does anybody think Duke can fight with Miami? Does anybody think Duke has it in them to maybe give a fight to Miami this week? And then here's the other thing. This is a little awkward. Like, we should probably want Michigan to beat Oregon or something, right? But like, I don't think it's going to happen. I think Oregon's going to smoke them. I think they're going to smoke them. So I don't know. Let's see. Nikki Dean loves to be heard and seen. Adam, thanks for getting me all mad about the A&M being ranked ahead of us. Nikki Dean loves to be heard and see $5. Maybe I'm old school, but if you beat a team, they should not be ranked ahead of you. Well, it depends. If Notre Dame had 2 losses, then there's no discussion. You have 2 losses, then it doesn't matter if you beat them head-to-head. They're ahead of you. But when each team has 1 loss, then you would say, what would be a way we could decide who to put above who if they both have the same loss record? Oh, I know. They played each other. Maybe the team that won that one should get the nod. And then the discussion's over. There's no more thinking involved. When a team has an identical record and they played head-to-head, the team that won head-to-head in that year is ranked ahead of them. I don't understand. It doesn't matter what that other loss is and who it's to. You have the same record and one team beat the other team. What am I missing? Logically, philosophically, what am I missing? You have the same loss record and one team beat the other. How is that team not ahead of the other? I don't understand. Is your football brain so impressive that it knows better than results that actually already happened on the field? You're so smart at analyzing football that your brain supersedes games that actually happen on the field, and you know better than results that actually already took place? Factual results that happened this year in this season, we all saw with our own eyes. Your football brain's so smart and powerful that it knows better than the actual results of the game. That's what you're telling me? Anyone who says that is so arrogant beyond belief, it sickens me. It sickens me to think anybody would be that arrogant to think their football brain knows better than results that took place on the field. It's not okay. It's not okay. $2 holler from Jay Lamont. Heather could kick rocks. I don't know. I hope she's not getting inside info and this is what actually happens. But the casual nature of us just totally throwing out head-to-head matchups here like they don't mean anything is offensive to me to the core. I don't care that you lost to Northern Illinois. That is not a part of the discussion. It's one loss, head-to-head. Northern has nothing to do with this. The same people are saying it, are saying it's just Navy. Calm down. Are now saying, but wait until you play Army. It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. Callahan, Killian. That's a lot of Irish. $5 hour. Anyone else excited to sit and drink and not have to worry about Notre Dame? 100% yes. 100%. It's a day off for Johnny Boy, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Callers, I am coming to you. Give me a second here. Coming to you in 1 minute. Christopher, I'm concerned with a false sense of security. I know we're winning, but are we really progressing as a program? I think our schedule is hiding some of the realities. The schedule is definitely helping a lot, but those are the breaks. Excuse me. Those are the breaks. The schedule is definitely helping a lot. It is not Notre Dame's fault. Florida State is the worst team in America. It's not Notre Dame's fault. USC is incredibly inconsistent. And the middle part of the schedule just isn't as tough as you thought it might be. Louisville isn't what you thought they'd be, whatever. It's just, I mean, I don't know about a false sense of security because I don't feel that secure. Like, I'm hopeful, but listen, my line maintains. Notre Dame is a very flawed team. Notre Dame is a very injured team, but they're fighters, man. And they just keep winning. And they just keep winning and keep winning and keep winning. So we may as well roll with it. Jay is always the voice of reason here. Heather's been covering the CFP committee for day one. She's just calling it like she expects them to think. Well, then I'm saying she needs to expect them to think something else. Jay, I can't make it make sense. If you have equal records and you're not honoring head to head, you're not tethered to anything that I could grasp logically of how you're piecing this together, the rankings. I really don't understand. Like, I genuinely don't understand the philosophy. Identical records. And with a head-to-head game, you honor the head-to-head as I can't conceive of another way you would do it and have it logically make sense. So the casual nature with which she just disregards head-to-head and then Notre Dame's 12th or 13th, I can't handle it. I literally can't handle it. You're ignoring the number one thing here that dictates everything: game results. Game results. Not what you think about stuff, not what you perceive, no, game results handle that for you so you don't got to think anymore. That's the great thing about head-to-head. That's on the committee, not others reporting it. The casual nature with which she throws something out there that I'm going to have an aneurysm over bothers me, Jay. It just does. And I don't expect that to bother you because you're the nicest guy in the world. But when she casually drops a bomb on my head, it rubs me the wrong way. All pleasant, nice, and I'm Heather, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, Notre Dame, it doesn't matter that you have the best SEC win in the country, and she just drops a bomb like that, all casual. What do you think I'm going to do? How do you think I'm going to react? So I'm not trying to be mad at the messenger, but I don't appreciate the casual nature with which she dropped a bomb on my head. $5 holler. John, do we know if they do the seating or just the rankings next Tuesday? Because the ranking and the seating will be different. That's a good question. I don't even know. I don't know. All I know is, man, there's a lot of Tuesday's going to be a day. I don't know whether Tuesday's going to be a day in America. Let's just put it that way. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know Tuesday's going to be an interesting day. Oh, Tom. And then we'll get to the calls. Penn State could beat Ohio State. Great defense, great rush ends. QBs are good enough. Good running backs, new offensive coordinator, best tight end in the country, and I hate them. I watch them every week. Listen, man, I simply will not ever believe or trust in Penn State the way I never believe and trust in Brian Kelly in a big game moment until they prove me wrong. Until they prove me wrong. Go beat Ohio State, and I will believe in you and get behind you. And I will start to change my formulated opinion over the data that I've had over all these years. I will start to change my calculus, but you have to earn it. You have to earn that. And Penn State's let me down every single time. Every single time. So I don't know. It's an interesting situation. But you guys, I'm just saying, tell me if I'm wrong about what I'm thinking with the rankings and all that. If I'm really off center. I just think it's an incredible level of arrogance for you to think your big football brain knows better than the results of games that have already been played this year that tell you what to do with the rankings. When all things are equal, meaning the record, you go with head-to-head. I can't understand. Once you get away from that, see, here's the problem with it, you guys. Once you decide that no longer is your tether point to reality, you could do anything you want. You following me here? That's the real problem I have with this. Once you decide head-to-head doesn't matter, it frees you up to do whatever you want with any reasoning you want. Nobody could check you for anything. Because if you're ignoring the number one easiest way to rank teams, which is head-to-head results, this is the point of my whole thing, you guys. Once you get to a point where you're comfortable enough ignoring head-to-head results, then you could do anything. Then you could do anything. And nobody could question it because it's all not going to be as crazy as that thought. It's all not going to be as crazy as that thought. So once you decide you no longer have to honor head-to-head results, it frees you up to do whatever you want and rationalize anything, and nobody could question it. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's going to be really, really interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting. So that's where I'm at on some of this. I would love to know what else you guys want to work on. Is there anything on offense Notre Dame could get better at? Dr. John, we're coming to you. Terrence, you're going to be next up. Is there anything you could work on here? Get better on offense? Again, I don't have anything personal against Heather as a person. The casual nature with which she threw out the idea that this committee could disregard head-to-head results offends me. I'm sorry. It's just too casual of a way to ignore the whole point of the sport, which is to play head-to-head and the winner gets the spoils. I can't handle that not being followed. I'm sorry. I just can't be okay with it. I just can't. And here's another question, too. I went on the Ohio podcast last night with Eric from the Ohio pod. And I asked him about, if you're an Ohio State person, man, do you kind of wish you went back? Do you like the new setup in the Big Ten? Aren't these Big Ten people mad that Oregon comes in and starts pushing everybody around in the conference? I'm a guy, I feel like that would piss me off personally. If I was an old school Big Ten, like an Ohio State person, yeah, Omar, the Ohio State. I kind of like the old Big Ten. I wouldn't like it that you got Oregon bullying their way in here, and now you got the round robin, and you can't just dominate your half of a one of the divisions or whatever. Like I'm just starting to wonder if I'm a Big Ten person. I'm a little embarrassed and pissed off that Oregon's blowing in here with Nike money and is on top of our rankings in the Big Ten. That's a bad look for the Big Ten. I think that's a bad look for the Big Ten, that you let Oregon come in here and they're automatically the big dog in your conference that you've been in for 187 years or whatever. I don't like it. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it. Ohio State has no coach. A lot of people out there don't like Ryan Day. All right, I'm going to mute myself, blow my nose. We'll go to the calls. If you're on the line, you'll be on. Hold on. Jay Carr, that's inappropriate. Dr. John and 618 after that. Good doc, what's going on?
Good morning from beautiful Meridian, Idaho.
Dr. John, you are like an outlaw bootlegger in the old days where you're always on the run. Nobody knows where you're at. You're hopping state to state. You're always traveling somewhere. Nobody knows where you're at, man. You're a moving target.
Well, I'm just trying to stay one step ahead of the sheriff.
You stay one step ahead of the law, my friend. I got to tell you.
There you go.
I am genuinely enjoying the week off. It may not sound like it from the stress level in my voice, but I really am enjoying the week off, getting in the Halloween spirit. Like I'll be able to watch some football and it won't be a work day Saturday. Like I'm very much looking forward to the slate of games. What's on your mind as Notre Dame's in their last break?
Well, my problem is I'm here with a guy who's been doing nothing but hollering that you lost to Northern Illinois, you lost to Northern Illinois. You know, and he started out by saying, when he first started listening to you, he said, "Oh, I see why you like him. He's just like you." And I said, I don't rant like them. You know, I don't get all upset because some guy's saying Northern Illinois to me all the time.
Yeah. Listen, Doc. There's no way around it.
Yes.
Northern Illinois it's just an unacceptable shadow that is going to follow you around, and it should. And there needs to be consequences for losing to Northern Illinois. I believe in that. But I just feel like the head-to-head result here with equal records needs to be the tiebreaker. I just can't logically see it any other way. If Notre Dame loses another game, Doc, they should be out of the playoff. 2 losses, one of them to Northern. You're out. I wouldn't even consider Notre Dame with 2 losses this year. There's going to be a whole bunch of Big Ten and SEC teams with 2 losses that are better 2 losses than our 2 will be. Like, you can't do that. With 2 losses, Notre Dame, I'm not even considering. And then the Northern is way too big of a problem and you're out. But with 1 and the head-to-head to A&M, I can't justify A&M ahead of them. That's why you play the games. They have equal records, and Notre Dame won head-to-head. Not even like barely by 10 points at their place. I can't understand it philosophically.
Well, need I mention 1993?
Oh, come on, Doc. Don't come. It's the Lifetime Achievement Award. We're going, and you know what's interesting about that, Doc? Do you know who Mark Rogers is? He does a college football channel on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen him or not, or know who he is.
Yeah.
He used to work for ESPN.
I might recognize him.
Yeah, the voice of college football is what his channel is called. He covers the whole country, all the different teams. He used to work at ESPN. I've been on his show a bunch of times, and then he left there and does his own thing on YouTube. He actually wrote a book about how they decided champions in the 90s. The whole book he wrote is about how they decided championships in the 90s, and there's a whole section on that, and I'm actually going to have him on the show and interview him about it. It's very interesting you brought that up. Did I lose you?
Oh, I lost you for some reason.
There you go. I got you. Okay. There, you're back. So, Doc, I don't know. I'm excited about Notre Dame on the break here. How much better can Notre Dame get, Doc, over the break? We want them to get healthy. What else do you want to see? Is it too much of me to ask? Why can't Denbrock dial up some new creative stuff here the last month? I think we could do that. Let's get it going. Let's crank something out the last month.
Yeah, I'd still like to see Leonard lead a pass receiver into the end zone rather than throw it short. But hopefully he's going to get a little bit better at that.
Yeah.
But, getting healthy is number one. And you're right about 2 losses. We shouldn't even be thought of if we lose another game.
Yeah, I agree. I would never fight anybody on that. I will not fight it. You can't have 2 of them and one of them's Northern. You can't do that. Then there's too many other teams that are going to have 2 losses and one of them isn't to Northern. But with one, Dr. John, could you argue that Notre Dame maybe has the best win in America and the best loss in America? Follow me here, Doc. No, I mean it. Follow me. all I hear my whole life, Doc, is the SEC's king. The SEC's king. The SEC is just the pinnacle of football and physicality week to week. What a grind. It's the SEC, big boy football down south, real athletes, whatever. And Notre Dame beat the only undefeated SEC team in SEC play that's atop their rankings at their place by double digits. I could argue Notre Dame has the best win in America and the worst loss in America because Northern Illinois isn't even good, Doc. They're a 500 team. They're not even good. It would still not be okay if Northern Illinois was undefeated, but they're no good at all. And we lost to them. You got a great win and one of the worst losses I've ever seen in my life. It's enough to make you go insane.
Nice bookends, huh?
It's unbelievable. For that 2-week stretch, it's absolutely an unbelievable 2-week stretch of highs and lows. And then ever since it, win, 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 win. All Notre Dame's doing is winning, Doc. They just keep winning.
And that's what they got to keep doing. They got to just keep doing it.
Are you all stuffed up too? You sound a little stuffed up. You got nasal stuff.
I am. Gosh. When you went to blow your nose, I blowed mine.
I'm telling you, we here. I don't know your weather. We are hot, cold, hot. We have days where it's like been 70s and 80s and then like 40 and it's hot, cold, and I can't keep it all straight. A 618-720, you're going to be the next two up. So it's killing me. I just needed to decide to stay hot or cold. I don't care which anymore. Pick one.
Well, I'd prefer hot, but have you looked at the makeup of this committee?
I don't think I have, other than I'm deeply offended ethically.
Michigan's director of athletics is on it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The only one that I know for sure is I'm completely ethically offended that when they decided to do this committee, he's the one they went to run it. While he was in the middle of multiple scandals in his facility, they went ahead and did that. So whatever.
Is he the chair of the committee?
Yeah, he's in charge of the whole committee.
Oh, I guess I didn't notice that on his bio.
Yep.
And one of them, I'm wondering about if you know the writer from USA Today, Whiteside. Do you know her?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. When I saw that she was writing for USA Today, I thought maybe you'd run across her or something. But
I don't think I did.
We're at their mercy, partner. We're at their mercy.
Yeah. Listen, I get it, man. When you lose to Northern, you put yourself at risk. I just think if you're not honoring head-to-head, I don't know what you're doing.
Well, I still have my hotel reservations for the 20th and 21st. So,
there you go.
I don't know what I'll be doing on the 9th of December. I'll either be canceling or trying to get a hold of you and see if you've been contacted by our California Joe, who's supposed to buy us dinner.
Yeah, I'm not gonna forget about that. Yeah, I expect an email from him. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen, partner. You just got to keep winning. And listen, I totally understand the Northern thing's a big deal. If you have equal records in head-to-head, I can't understand an argument where you don't honor that. I don't get it. That's why you play the games.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens next Tuesday. I have a feeling we're going to be 12th to 13th. But
if you do that, and if you do it and A&M's ahead of you, then it is all a crapshoot, because then the playing each other don't even matter. So then you can do anything you want at that point. So it's a total crapshoot then, because then all logic is out the window. If you're not honoring head to head, I don't know where you go from there. You can make it all up. I don't know.
It's all made up. It's all made up.
I don't know. It's
anyway,
it's rough. Just keep winning. Just keep winning, baby.
Yep, that's all we got to do. Keep it up, and you have a great rest of the show. I'll catch some of it, but this guy's going to put me to work today. So
all right. Well, hey, and I hope you feel better there. Feel better there with the sinuses, and God bless you, man. I'm glad you traveled safe.
Hey, man, thank you so much. Have a great show. I'll talk to you later.
Yep, take care. We'll go 618-720-304. Pat says he saw my article and he disagrees. He might call in later. Is it the article? Which one? The one about this topic of honoring head-to-head? Like, here's the other argument. even if you said to yourself, Texas A&M, it was week one with Elko and they were just getting put together. And even if you said now they're a way better team, now they got a new quarterback maybe that's more mobile, and it would be a totally different game if they played Notre Dame now, and now they're in a groove and they look like a totally different team 8 weeks in or whatever than they did in week one. I could agree that all of that is true, but that doesn't mean the week one result doesn't matter. Like, I'm open to that argument of people saying you got to understand how much different this A&M team is 2 months down the road than they were in summer when they played Notre Dame in August. They're such a different team now, and they're so much better, whatever it would be, and they would beat Notre Dame now, whatever. Yeah, maybe. The problem is you already played that game this year, and Notre Dame won it by double digits. You don't get to just play this game. So that's an argument I've heard from people, is how much better A&M looks now, and you got to consider that. I can acknowledge they look better. Too bad, though. You played us this year, week one, and you lost. You didn't play the mobile quarterback, and we beat you. Sorry. Jay Carr, I'm just playing the devil's advocate. I'm playing the devil's advocate. If you want to say to me that the SEC is God's gift to football and it's all that matters and it is the pinnacle of everything, and you got A&M atop of that, which everybody tells you is the best conference in football, and they're undefeated in that conference, and Notre Dame beat them, then why can't Notre Dame say they got the best win in America? For once, John is listening to the SEC people when they say how great they are. But then when it helps Notre Dame, it's no longer applies, or what? What happens when Texas beats A&M? Well, then Notre Dame's win over A&M gets devalued. That's what happens, right? And then this all kind of fizzles down. Isn't that what happens? Yeah, you could argue Oregon has the best win. That's fair. Or Bama. That's fair. I'm just playing devil's advocate here to be a prick about it, because I'm sick of hearing the SEC's awesome. And then when I find an angle to shoehorn Notre Dame in there, nobody likes the argument anymore. It's just funny how you get to pick and choose when you want to have these arguments. It's all about the SEC. And then I bring up that Notre Dame beat the SEC's top team, and suddenly it doesn't matter anymore. What do you mean? I don't know. I know I'm being difficult. I'm being difficult on purpose. Okay. Omar, can we agree it's Heather's fault? I'm not trying to be mad at the messenger, but the whole philosophy bothers me. 618-720-304 coming up. 618, what's going on? Good morning, sir.
Hey, what's going on, John?
Hey, I'm enjoying this week off from Notre Dame, man. Too much football stress. I'm enjoying the week off, and we're going to watch some football. What's on your mind on Notre Dame's last break?
I'm kind of tired of hearing about the NIU loss, because that was, 7 weeks ago?
Yep.
Almost 8 weeks ago. So I'm tired of hearing about it. I mean, listen, if A&M played the game, they lost. We went into the hostile environment. Both teams wasn't at their best. Man, you put this Notre Dame team up against Texas A&M right now, and I probably think the results will be the same.
Ooh. You probably get some pushback on that.
You got to think, man, A&M is not used to playing Notre Dame every year. They used to playing that SEC schedule every year, so they supposed to be prepared for the SEC. Notre Dame is prepared for everybody. They play anybody and everybody who comes and put them on the schedule. Nobody wants to put Notre Dame on the schedule.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. So I don't know, man. And how much better can Notre Dame get the rest of the way? That's something else that's been on my mind on this off week for Notre Dame. Do you think it's just about, try and get some guys feeling healthier, or are there actually things you want to see this last month that we haven't seen? I don't know. Pull out some offensive wrinkles. What can you do?
I think we could tighten up a few things, man. I mean, one, man, let's get the ball in the hands of the rest of the season out. Let's get the ball in the hands of your best playmaker, which is Love.
Yep.
I mean, I like Price a lot, but man, it's time to, dwindle down his carries, dwindle down, everything, and let's go with Price
and let's see where we go, from there.
Yeah, that would be a really good way to go. And then let me ask you this, man. Is Florida State, what do you think of that game, man? They're so bad that it's like off the radar bad that it almost comes full circle to where it's like in my mind that it's dangerous because they're so down and out. If you it's just like, is it a trap or are they really just that horrible?
And I've been thinking about that for 2 weeks, man. We're talking about NIU. We lose to Florida State. That'll be the absolute worst loss in the country. You
can't let them get a win. And I think they play North Carolina this week. And I think North Carolina's a 500 team. Maybe they could beat them. But you can't be the team. You think Northern Illinois is a bad loss. You can't be the team that lets Florida State get off the mat.
Man, that'll be an even worse loss than Northern Illinois. Florida State is absolutely hot garbage.
Yeah, they're really, really bad. And so I don't know what's going to – I don't know. But I would be –
on the verge of – John, they on the verge of –
going 2-10. They're going to go 2-10. They're going to be 2-10 for real. Maybe 3-9. It's amazing what they've done.
Yeah, man. Notre Dame need to come out, jump out there on them early. Man, I don't care, man. Do not allow them to even get on the board. If they get on the board, man, I'll be pissed off about that Florida State game.
Yeah. It's and you know what else too? Coming out of the break too, you're coming out of your final break of the year without playing you're right in playoff position. You need to come out and smoke those guys. And I hope that fan base of ours is fired up for a night game in November against a hated rival. When you're right in the playoff hunt, I want people drinking all day in the parking lot. I want it loud and proud in that place on November 9th. That's what I want. I want to welcome our guys out of that bye. I want it loud, and I want the wine and cheesers at home staying warm, not wanting to be in the cold. Let real people go out there that want to be loud.
Yeah, I want love to go over 200 yards rushing in that game, man. They absolutely suck at everything, man. Defense, offense.
It's really true. It's true. Their offense is unbelievably ineffective. It's really, really terrible. And it doesn't seem to matter which quarterback they go with. They've had 3 of them they're rotating or whatever. They're really bad at football. It's quite amazing how bad they are.
They blamed it on DJU. He sucked. They put another one in. He sucked.
Yeah.
They put another one in. He sucked. Man, they are awful.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. It really is.
To lose to them, man. I probably won't watch another Notre Dame game until next year.
Oh, man. Yeah, you will. You'll be back. They'll bring you back. You'll be back. So I don't know, man. It's going to be – and then let me ask you this. Do you got any hope in Penn State? Do you think this is a year that they can actually hang with Ohio State, or do you expect them to fall on the big stage against all that talent? What? I don't want to get my hopes up. Do you think they could play with them this time?
Man, I hope so, but I don't think so, man. I think Ohio State beat them by a couple touchdowns this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll believe in Franklin and Penn State when they win one of these games against a team with all this talent. I do know this, man. Those Ohio State people are not impressed. They just think that team and that roster they have should be playing more high-level football more consistently week to week. They are not pleased with the level of football they're getting week to week out of that roster. They expect better. So I don't know what we're going to get.
Man, how could you expect better? Look who the coach is.
I get
the coach is.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
If they lose, I tell you what, if they lose to Penn State, man, I got faith that Michigan beat them also.
Oh my gosh. Could you? And that's the other one is does Michigan have any chance of hanging in there with Oregon, or do you think that could get ugly? I could see a scenario where Oregon piles it on Michigan this year, dude. That's the other game that's on my radar. Oh baby. I don't know what's going to happen there.
I don't know nothing about that coach now. I know he beat Ohio State last year, but I don't know about who, what type of guy he is or whatever. But I tell you what, man, you just got to look at the history of Michigan, man. Even in down years, they play up to the competition. And, man, I think I don't know how good their defense is this year, but man, to me, man, I mean, a lot of people will disagree with me, but I don't think Oregon looked impressive at all this year either, especially at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I think they've come on a little bit lately. They've looked better lately, and they're just pretty darn talented. I know that, and I just kind of like that they're going in there and messing up the Big Ten. Like, I just think that's funny how they just blow right in there and they're sitting atop the Big Ten, and that's got to piss them all off.
And man, it'll be crazy, man, this year to see the playoffs without Ohio State, or possibly without Alabama.
That'd be wild.
And possibly without, it depends on what happened down the stretch with Georgia.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Some of these teams are going to take some more losses. And you know what else? Not this week, but next week, either LSU or Alabama's catching a third loss. And I could deal with either one of those results. Dude, I'm already happy about that no matter what happens. One of those teams is getting a third loss. And I am here, bro, I am here for that. One of those teams is getting a third loss, and it's going to make my little heart warm.
Hey, I would rather see it to be LSU. I'd rather for it to be LSU.
Yeah, it's gonna be really, really interesting. So I don't know, man, but I'm gonna enjoy the off week. I'm gonna watch a lot of football with no stress and root for who and against whoever I want. Anything else on your mind, my friend? Thanks for the call on a Wednesday.
And look at the head-to-head matchups too, man. Notre Dame will be in the play. Notre Dame. If a few of these teams catch one loss, you can start, and Notre Dame finish up 11-1. You can start looking at the head-to-head. They beat A&M. They beat a couple teams that some ACC teams beat by a bunch. That's what I'm looking forward to, John.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting, and November is going to be a wild ride, and we don't know what's going to happen with all of these conferences are going to look different at the end of the road here because of the elimination of the divisions and the more round robin play in the Big Ten and the SEC. So it's going to get more interesting than usual, and then with what's going to happen, this is a wild experiment. November is going to be a crazy month for football, and we're just going to go along for the ride. Just keep winning, so you're in the mix.
Yeah, man. And just think, man, it's not how you start, it's how you finish it, man. These conferences is everything I thought it would be. They beat up on each other, man.
Yep, and it's fun to see. So we'll see how it goes, man. Hey, enjoy the rest of the off week, man. Relax, have a good Halloween, have a good scare, a trick or treat, and enjoy some football Saturday, okay?
Okay, man.
Have a good one, man. Thanks for the call. Man, he's a loyal caller. I love talking to that dude. 720-304 going to be the next two up. Brendan with the $5 holler. Miami, Ohio is still in the hunt for the MAC championship. It's possible ND finishes with wins against the MAC champ, the AAC champ, and the SEC champ. Brendan, I got to admit, I never thought of that. Jay, I'm glad you're in here, man. You make me a better person just by proxy. I literally mean that. I feel like a better person when Jay Lehman's in the chat just because he's such a nice person. And I feel like his essence of being nice can like rub off on me because I'm not that charitable in certain ways. I mean it, Jay. Just having you in here makes me feel like a more moral person. Somebody wrote, Chief, you too. But especially Jay. I don't know. There's just something about the way he's just a way more forgiving, nice person than I am. It's unbelievable. Okay. IU a serious contender. Here's the deal. Jerry Reinsdorf's burner says, I make John a worse person. You certainly do. You literally, your existence makes me a worse person, Jerry Reinsdorf. It does, I ran into a guy in the grocery store yesterday that he's a banker, and the bank, they have White Sox season tickets, and this guy would always invite me to go to the games because they have season tickets, and the top bankers, they bring clients, like corporate clients, to bank with them and do investments, whatever. And they have, club seats right behind the dugout, and a bunch of them put in the pool for it, and they all entertain clients. And whenever they're not doing that, they invite Johnny Boy, and then I get to go and use their tickets and whatever. These are people I know, just whatever. I saw the guy in line at the grocery store yesterday, and he says, "We gave up all of our season tickets. We're not renewing them. We're totally done. We quit. We told our ticket rep." And this is like $100,000 package because of what they're getting and all the extras or whatever it is, and how many tickets they have and all this crap, a bunch of different seats and features and special things you could do. So they canceled all the tickets. And then the White Sox, every week, they send them a new basket with like White Sox goodies in there and a t-shirt and all this lame swag that nobody wants. It ain't going to work. Give us good baseball. Give us good baseball. They think they're just going to send them a basket of like peanuts with the Sox logo, and that's enough to make them sign back up. Every single thing they do is incompetent at that place. Unbelievable. Here's the problem with Indiana. I love that Cignetti guy. It's the most Chicago name ever. That Cignetti guy in Indiana. I like that Cignetti. This Cignetti guy doing a great job. Doing a great job. But John, what did your friend do with the cart? I'm going to tell you this right now. Unless you are like physically or mentally disabled in some way, anybody that doesn't put the cart back in the right thing you should be excised from society. We can't have a functioning society if we don't all abide by certain social respect norms. And if you are able-bodied and able-minded and you are too lazy to take your cart and put it away in the right thing or in the little thing, society just can't function like this, you guys. Like, if we don't have that, like those kind of baselines of how to act as just a general society guideline, once we get out of that, if we can't even all agree on that, yet society's falling apart. It's no longer tethered to anything. Like, if we all just can't do the basic stuff like that. If you have problems getting around or an injury or that's a different, I'll give you an exemption. If you're a pregnant lady and the kid's about to fall out, I'll give you a break on that. But other than that, put your stupid card away, lazy ass. I have no patience for stuff like that. Here's the problem. 720, I'm coming to you. 304 after that. Here's the problem I have with Indiana. The problem I have with Indiana is, have they beat anybody good yet? I love the... Slow down. I love the story. I love this Cignetti character, whoever the hell he is. I love him. I love what they're doing. I love having another good team in the Big Ten. I love that they're undefeated and they're messing the whole thing up. However, who are they beating? What is their most impressive win? I'm looking at it. Is it who is it? FIU, WIU, UCLA. I have no idea what CLT is. Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska, Washington. Where is the impressive win that they have? Is it just because they're not there? Is it because they're Indiana and they just haven't lost that it seems better than? I'm just asking who. Charlotte. Is that their big win then? Charlotte? Who have you beaten? Jay Lehman, strength of schedule, 106 right now. Again, you guys, I love the story. I love an undefeated team that isn't, Ohio State or Michigan in the Big Ten. I'm all for this. I'm just politely asking. They haven't played anybody. So they're beating the hell out of people, and I love that, and that's fine. Washington's their big win. Washington's a 500 team. Washington's no good. We can't get in our minds this is the Washington of a couple years ago. No, this is a 500 Washington team. They ain't no good. Nebraska, so I'm just asking where the big win is. Garbage UCLA. CLT, isn't that a button on your computer? Dr. John says they've never been behind. That's impressive. You know who that reminds me of, Dr. John? Another guy that went, I think, 3.5 years never being behind or losing a game. This guy did that. Won a World War, handful of championships, and a handful of Heismans. That's a career, my friend. Put him right in an early grave, and I'll be loyal to him till the day I die. I'll be loyal to that guy till the day I die, that he let the pursuit of Notre Dame perfection affect his health to the point where it put him in an early grave. His doctors told him, Frankie, you got to stop this. You got to slow down. You got to take care of yourself. You can't do this Notre Dame stress. You can't be up all night above that firehouse drawing up plans. You got to take care of yourself. And Frank said no, because Notre Dame football is more important. God, I love that man. All right. Gotta blow my nose. John, you don't understand Indiana win. John, don't you understand Indiana wins like 3 games a year? This is impressive. Listen, I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm all for it. I'm just politely saying they haven't really beaten anybody that impresses me, but at least they're kicking the crap out of everybody. And if you got to, even though they're in our state, that doesn't really bother me. Like, I'm fine with a new team messing up the Big Ten. I'm fine with that. Control, Alt, delete the Hoosiers. ND has played nobody. Look at the top of the SEC standings, Ronald. ND's played nobody. Look at the top of the SEC standings, Ronald. Are you ignoring that result? What are you, Heather Dinich Jr.? Huh? How is A&M a nobody, Ronald? Now you're going to start. Is it hard for you to type with those clown gloves on or what? Notre Dame's got the most top 25 wins in the country, Ronald. Come on, man. All right. Blowing the nose. We'll get back to the calls. I think the sinus pills are affecting me, man. Jay Carr, quit doing that every single time I do this. Come on, man. Anyways, Ronald, come on. Putting a number behind a team is all for marketing and TV ratings. They mean nothing. Well, but that's the world we live in. I'm sorry. That's the world we live in. All right, 720 and then 304 coming up. 720, what's going on? Welcome to the show.
Hey, John, Brandon DeSanti out here in Colorado, man. I love your fan. I love this show. I love the pushback from everyone.
Man,
you're killing me today.
I'm going to tell you this, man. No problem. I'm going to tell you this. There's nothing like this community we've built here. Like, I can't fully understand it or describe it and all the personalities that make it what it is. And it's just, it kind of has a life of its own. And I love it, man. Like, it's a unique gathering. Let's put it that way.
One thing at Texas, and I got a lot of Texas A&M friends out here.
Okay.
And they're like, dude, they give us credit. They are some of the coolest fans out there. But the argument could be made for us too. We had a new quarterback and a new coordinator. We lost our left tackle right before that game. So like, in our offense now is picking it up. We're figuring it out, and we're scary in the playoffs. We are. Our defense is still lights out without Ben Morris and
gosh, dude, I've been thinking about that. I've genuinely been thinking about that. Are you concerned that should Notre Dame make it and really honestly go 4-0 and then make this field, At what point does not having your best guy back there come back to really bite you? I've been really, really thinking about it. And I understand we love the younger guys and Christian Gray taking more of a leadership role and Leonard Moore. I understand all that, but it's not those guys plus Morrison is the point. And I just wonder when that would catch up to you, because you would figure it would have to at some point.
I think.
Is that a fair concern of mine? I've been thinking about it.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to go off on Kelly a little bit.
You're at the right place. You're at the right place for this.
There's a different. So here's my thing about Brian Kelly. That guy is the fakest dude, and he's going to get ran out of LSU. I think we all said he's not going to win there. He's fake. He came to Notre Dame. He stopped doing a lot of traditions. He didn't invite players back. You're seeing a different attitude with these younger kids getting on the field.
Yeah.
Like, even the last year kid, the limited time he's played, that kid's a dude. He's going to be something. You got kids coming up. It's a different recruiting attitude. And I think we're going to get this quarterback situation figured out in the future, too. I like the kid they signed. In fact, I'm not sad about Deuce Knight. When he transferred back to his home state, I had a bad feeling about that in high school. And then the flip-flopping, I was like, just get rid of him. I'm a high school coach, and a kid that's that fickle, I predict, and it's not a knock on him, I don't think long-term that kid's going to have a great career. He's got Hugh Freeze over Marcus Freeman. I mean, I could understand if it's Kirby Smart or some of these other, or Franklin, but you want that kid mentoring your kid? You don't care about him.
I've been saying that.
Dollars.
You know what? But I've been saying that. That is one of my first bullet points on all this. Is number one is that they're playing bad on the field. So I believe that it's all the guarantees and the promises of cash and everything is why they're collecting all this talent in that class, because it certainly isn't based on what they're accomplishing on the field. That's number one. But number two is you know what, man? Maybe my values are too old school that the first thing I thought of is, how could you want an impressionable young man to be under the tutelage of Captain Escort service out there? Like a guy with no moral fiber whatsoever. You want your young son to have that be his mentor for the next few years? Wow. Classy decision. Like, I can't make that. But maybe I'm old school that I value things like that. Maybe that just doesn't matter to people anymore. But it would to me if I was a parent or a coach of that kid. It would matter to me.
Me too. And like, let's be honest, what kind of escorts are you pulling in Alabama?
Oh, I don't even want to think. What kind you got down there in the Mississippi? I don't even want to know, man. Like, I've thought of that too, and it's a scary road. I don't know what you're gonna expect down there in the Mississippi. As far as that goes, I think it's trouble. Whoa.
And I feel bad for that kid because his career is already starting off on the wrong foot. You're at Notre Dame, you're recruiting kids, you're like, Freeman's my guy, and then you flip, and now the rumor is he's having second decisions about it again. It's like, man, kid, you needs to go to somewhere that they're going to really show love on him and like just help him be a good man, because I want that kid to succeed. I don't see it happening. Talented he is,
man. I'm
not rooting against him.
I'm telling you, the
kid's a bad kid.
If you look at like Marcus Freeman or whatever, what a perfect mentor for a guy like that. That would be in a new culture and need a little guidance, but like, what a great mentor. Freeman could be just about how to live like a moral life and be a good family man and how to treat people, and get him in a new culture, and Freeman could support him through that. There would have been a lot of positivities there. And it's just doesn't look like it's going to be. So those are the decisions people are making, whatever.
And the thing about Freeman is I love that guy. Like, regardless, the NIU loss, whatever. You know what? It's college football and it's a different landscape. You got NIU. That was a trap game for Notre Dame. And I know that's saying that, but Alabama lost to Vanderbilt. And I don't care. You can't tell me Vanderbilt has that much talent to keep up with them. So like, and they're playing great. I'm not taking away from Vanderbilt, but we had a brand new coordinator and a quarterback that missed spring ball against A&M, and we won. We figure out games. We run the ball with. This is the best stable running backs we've had since the Ricky Waters era, in my opinion. Like, do you remember when we in 17 we beat Michigan? We're like putting wide receivers back there and converted safeties to running back. It's like, no, our talent's getting better, and I think the thing about Freeman is he's building a tradition, and at some point it's going to click, and we're going to win one. And like, look at Ohio State. In Ohio State, like they're one game out of not being in the Big Ten championship this year. They lose to Penn State. That's going to be most likely Oregon and Penn State in that championship game, or maybe even Indiana. But regardless, like it's a different culture, and guys like Freeman will succeed.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think you are right. You are seeing the younger classes on this team. They carry themselves a little different. It isn't just like the ones getting on the field and that they're making some plays early in their careers. They carry themselves a little different. There's a little confidence in the younger guys in this program, like that I really like. It does feel a little different with some of that youth. Renee, my main man Martinez with the $20 holler. I just got here, Johnny. What's going on? A lot's going on, and I really thank you for the holler, and also $5 holler from Ryan Elliott. Jumping in, John, if our win against A&M doesn't matter because they're better now, then why does our loss against NIU matter if we're better now? I don't know. Like, once you go down this path, I feel like logic goes out the window, and you can rationalize whatever you want. Once you break that seal, you could do whatever you want to do with it rationally in your mind. I don't know. I struggle with the whole discussion.
I agree, man. And I think just from my standpoint, when I look at what this tradition, the culture inside the locker room, you see it. Drake Bowen. I mean, you got dudes that want to hit and that are aggressive, and these kids won on the field, you know. And so I just think Freeman's the right guy. Little losses like that sneak up and happen to everyone in their career. I don't care. Nick Saban had him. Urban Cowboy had him. Brian Kelly can't win a big game to save his life. You know, like all the great coaches had them. Lou Holtz had one against Boston College. You know, so my problem is the ESPN cronies that just want to bash Notre Dame, and it's like you got some of these guys that they're just a bunch of dorks that want to hate on them, and this. But I think the playing field of college football is so much more level right now. To me, like I don't know if you can say there's a team that's not beatable right now. I mean,
it's really interesting.
Oregon's almost lost. Yeah, you know, like Georgia lost to Bama, and Georgia, they're the scariest team to me but you know what? They remind me a lot of Notre Dame. They're just figuring out their offense a little bit. So. I think Notre Dame's in a great spot. As long as they keep winning and we don't get totally screwed over by the committee, I don't think a lot of teams want, especially like Ohio State, they don't want to play Notre Dame. Our defense is lights out. They're not the team they thought they were going to be for whatever reason. And I'm guessing that starts with crying Ryan Day in the locker room. But if they want to argument, we had a new quarterback and a coordinator, so we're just getting it figured out. But man, if that was Navy's best team in however many years, what we just did to them, what we did to Purdue, and beating A&M by 10, come on, like these people got to get real. Like, and you can't rank A&M higher than us. That pisses me off. And I hope A&M, and I hope A&M goes and wins the SEC.
Gosh. Dude, you know what I'm looking forward to? Texas A&M Texas is going to be such an intriguing football game. I would love to see. I can't wait for that game. Like I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's in a couple weeks. And then also LSU Alabama next week is fantastic because one of those operations is getting a third loss. And either way it goes, I'm going to embrace it.
Me too. You know, I would like to see LSU take that third loss. I just can't stand Brian Kelly it's like it's never his fault when they lose.
Yep.
It's, you know, and here's the thing about Brian Kelly, and I just want people to remember this. He got a kid killed at Notre Dame.
Ooh.
And no one takes that into account.
Ooh.
And no one, he never took responsibility of that either. And I know it was an accident, but still, like, that's, I truly, like, I think there's something about that, man. It's going to follow him around. We were always so close, but yet so far away with him. And I think he's finding that out too. Like, you can't fake an accent to get kids, go dance with them, like, creepy. I'm sorry, but if someone was dancing with my son like that, I would be like, we're gone. I would have, like, grabbed him and been like, yo, we're leaving this weird dude and we're going back. After his accent and then dancing with that quarterback, some creepy shit. Man.
Whatever. He's a weird dude. He's a unique person, that's for sure. And a hell of a politician. I think he missed his calling. He's a hell of a politician. Man, he could have been a great politician. Staying in the Northeast, being a politician, man, he could have done good.
You know, and I'll kind of go back to this too, and I'll let you go. But he didn't belong in the Midwest, and he doesn't belong in the South. He belongs. You're right.
You're running out of spots where you fit in, buddy.
Yeah, you should go back to coaching the Maine Bears and in Grand Valley State, dude. Because you hear it, but none of what was the guy from the Jets that just got fired? But they all talked about how much of a dick he was.
Robert Sally or whatever, Sala or whatever his name is.
Yeah, he was called him out, and like having a brother that coaches college football that is going through he was a GA, now he's coordinator at our school. I'll tell you the worst thing you can coach under is a dick like that, and because that's a hard job to start with. Not, it's not as a whatever. It's not a doctor saving lives, but how you treat people inside your staff is how you treat your kids. And people know he's fake. And I've been hearing that he might steal one of his receivers here, hopefully. So I don't know. I think Notre Dame's in a good spot, and I felt for Notre Dame with Deuce Knight thing, because he didn't really decommit. He didn't commit. I did want him to kind of say, just get out of here. But, hey, replaced it. I like the kid they just signed. I think we're on the up and up, man. Yeah. And as long as we win, they cannot keep us up.
Yep. It's going to be interesting. I think all you could ask for after what happened week 2 is to be saying you're coming out of your final break into November right in the mix. That's as good as we could do. And they're doing it. So good job on the comeback.
Yeah, well, and I'm gonna leave you with this. I kind of hope we get Clemson, so we can go out and get some revenge. And I like Dabo. I think he's a good coach, good guy. But I like beating Clemson. I really like beating Clemson too. Yeah. So maybe that's because my sister lives in Greenville. So, but great community, and also that doctor. That's the world lover. Is what I call him. That guy's my hero. I'm striving to be that guy.
There you go. Yeah. It's so I don't know, man. This is going to be really, really interesting. It's going to be a great final month of the season with a lot of intrigue all across the country. Nobody knows how this new CFP is going to go. It's going to be wild times, man. So buckle in, enjoy the last weekend of relaxation, because the next month's going to get stressful quick.
Hey, leave you with this question. So when Jagasol comes back, Knapp's killing it. Do you move him to guard? Because I think he's a hell of a guard. If you move him to guard, Goolsby believes that's his natural position. He should move into guard and have a more natural tackle, and that it would maximize the whole line talent overall and maximize Jagasa's potential. He thinks he should kick inside. I'll defer to the guy that breaks this all down, and knows what he's talking about on that. Well, I'll just say that you got Knapp next year, Jagasol on that side, and then you got Billy Schau. Can't pronounce his name.
Billy Boy. Just call him Billy Boy.
Ooh. Man, that's a dangerous, scary old line. Plus, you got some of these young backs running the ball, and you got second year in that system. And some of those receivers developing. Better watch out. We'll be scary, man.
There you go. Scary. There you go. I like it, man. Hey, thanks for the call. Have a happy Halloween, and call me again soon.
Take care, John.
Thank you, sir.
Happy Halloween.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. What is going on with the call screen? It's frozen. What are we doing? Come on. Unbelievable. 304, you're coming up. Yeah, 304 next. Let's take a look at this. Ronald, everybody thinks our offense is back. If we played a team with a decent defense, our offense will crumble. I don't think our offense is good. I never said that. You're not going to find me saying that. If anybody forced Notre Dame to pass the ball halfway decent to win a game, we're not winning. That's what gives me major hesitation about a deep playoff run. I'm not acting like Notre Dame's offense is awesome. The offensive line still isn't anywhere good enough to where I want it to be like for the real world. If anybody made Notre Dame actually like throw the ball to win, I don't think we're winning. It's just you're not playing people that are making you do it. I don't believe in our offense. Here's the other thing. Somebody said, Love, talking about Love and the Heisman and him saying he should be in the mix or whatever. Number one is the offensive line isn't good enough to support that. And number two is he's not ever going to get enough touches or carries or receptions or handoffs or anything to get to the point to pile up those numbers, I don't think. Like, that's my problem with that. Like, if you wanted to create a Heisman campaign for Love and put a ton of mileage on him and make him carry the ball 25 times a game, figuring he's going to bust out 4 or 5 of them or whatever, that's like a Heisman campaign. But it's hard to win it when you're not getting as many, you're not getting enough touches. He's not getting enough touch. This is not the old days where you just fed your running back that was good over and over and over again. He gets 30 carries. I just don't ever see him getting the ball enough to be able to put up those kind of numbers. 304, I'm coming to you. John says, who did Indiana play? They played UCLA, one of the worst teams in America. Nebraska, wow, what are they, 5-3? And Washington, who's 4-4 or whatever. And like, not everything. Ronald, it's Notre Dame is Notre Dame, but why does it mean that I can't judge anybody else? Because Notre Dame's not perfect. I'm not allowed to judge anybody else. I would never be able to do my show here if that was true. Notre Dame has flaws. Notre Dame's not perfect, whatever. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois for Pete's Dragon. I'm just saying, like, what does that mean that I'm not able to judge anybody else? They played UCLA. I'm not impressed. Nebraska, not impressed. Washington, not impressed. Notre Dame's best win was the Aggies in Louisville. Okay, well, the Aggie win is better than the other 3 of these combined. Andrew, we're just never going to agree. The BK derangement syndrome 3 years later is ridiculous. It's never going to change. It's never going to go away. It is personal. He does not like me as a person. I don't like him as a person. We have gone at it publicly on the Pat McAfee show. He don't like me. I don't like him. It's never going to change. It's never going to change. I'm never going to come off of it. And it's always going to be a thing to me. It just is. It doesn't have to be for you. It doesn't have to be for anybody. But it is personal, and it's never going away. That's just the way it is, man. It's just the way it is. Anders says he's kicking Freeman's butt in recruiting this year. Here's the thing, man. 304, I'm coming to you. The smartest thing Brian Kelly ever did is realize I am not willing to get on that jet and do what it takes to try and recruit at Notre Dame. It's just a pain in the ass. Going somewhere like LSU is just brilliant. It is the smartest thing Kelly ever did because you could put in the same amount of recruiting effort you wanted to and did in Notre Dame and get way better results. LSU is going to recruit itself to a large extent. All of those athletes within that radius where there's not any other SEC teams nearby, they're going to LSU. It doesn't matter if a boulder, it doesn't matter if a log is the head coach at LSU. They're going to get great talent just because of the geographic location and what it is and what LSU is as an entity. That's always going to be there. So brilliant job by Kelly. So he's going to get credit for the recruiting classes he signs because that's how it works. When you do good, that's how it works. So the smartest thing Kelly ever did is make this move. You get way more run off the recruiting there. You get way more run. And then again, Andrew, we're in a bad spot here. 304, I'm coming to you. I promise. Don't go for Deuce because it's not a fit, and where he's at in the country isn't a fit for Notre Dame and whatever. And that's why you don't do that kind of thing. So you're in a weird spot then. You're in a weird spot then, Andrew, where everybody calls and they're mad when Notre Dame's getting RKGs. And when Notre Dame lands 3-star Gordy or no-star Gordy, and then everybody's trying to tell you they could turn into something. No one wants anybody that looks like me on Notre Dame's team. We don't want RKGs. We don't want to be sold. We're getting lower rated guys, but then the recruiting beat has to pump them up and make you feel better about it, but you don't believe it. No one wants that. So then the flip side of that is trying to go after a talent and an athlete in an area you usually don't get talent and athletes from, and try and change the narrative and go get a mega athlete and do it a different way. And that doesn't work, and we're not happy with it either because it didn't work out. So where does that leave you? Do you feel me? That's where I'm struggling with this is no one wants the RKG route, and I definitely don't. We did that with Kelly way too much, the RKGs. But the flip side of it is really trying to change the narrative with some really different talent, and then that didn't work out either. So where does that leave us? We only have one real wide receiver committed right now. Embarrassing. Not good enough. And I don't understand what is it? 304, I love you. I'm coming to you. What is it going to take for Notre Dame to get somebody who could properly recruit and develop the wide receivers? I don't understand. How many wide receiver coaches are we going to blow through? None of them can recruit anybody good. None of them can recruit and develop anybody good. And then this is a bigger question about the whole offense and how it's put together, and it doesn't highlight the wide receivers, or do you not have a quarterback that can get it to them or whatever? And then how does the line play? It all kind of connects. Like it's all just a big thing. Chad is overrated. I'm starting to kind of believe you. I'm starting to agree with you because I was told you had to keep Chad in the building and give him a promotion because he is the reason Notre Dame's recruiting is off to the races. And every time I look, Notre Dame's recruiting is dropping down the rankings. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. Also, with, Bryce Underwood, the ultra-talented 25 quarterback Kelly has committed at LSU. All the rumor is that Michigan's trying to flip him behind the scenes with the big bag of money. That's the big rumor. And I have very, very mixed feelings, right? Obviously, I would love something that hurts Kelly and makes him look bad, but it would benefit Michigan. And then I'm not going to like that because it would help Michigan. So I don't know what to think. All right, 304 is coming up, and then we may have a tier on the line too. Let me blow my nose, and then 304. I'll get to you. J Car with the snow emoji again. 304, what's going on?
Hey, John, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm enjoying Notre Dame's off week. What's on your mind?
Well, I've been trying to call for a couple weeks. I keep losing you, cutting you off, which I'm at work. That's the reason why it's so rough trying to sneak off. But no, I had a couple things that's been really digging at me. One is, I hate looking that far ahead, but if Notre Dame would win their last 4 games and finish 11-1, I just have a weird feeling that there's a chance that they would keep them out of the playoffs.
See,
just based on they let Florida State out last year, and they were undefeated conference champs.
Yeah, okay. Well, but you do have 8 more spots too, right? Like it's a lot tighter of a squeeze to fit into the 4 than the 12. And also, here's the other thing, man. I am not the smartest guy with numbers and the math. I am not smart enough to be able to figure out what team needs to beat who in all these conferences for everything to line up to benefit Notre Dame. And this team needs to beat that team, but then lose to this team. I am not smart enough to be able to do that math to figure out everything that needs to happen in front of us to make what we want to happen a reality.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
like
I said,
I have no idea.
Something that's keeping me up at night.
Yeah, and then let me ask you this, man. Like Notre Dame has one of the best wins in America and one of the worst losses in America. And I just don't know where does that fall on the balance overall? Like when you have that good of a win and that bad of a loss, like where does that put the reality of you? Are you somewhere in the middle? Like I just don't know. I don't know.
Right. The Northern Illinois loss was, unforgivable. I mean,
yeah,
that's something you can't hide your head in the sand from. But but one other thing, like I said, I don't want to look too far ahead, but if we could get in the playoffs, like they always say in the NFL, you want a good defense, a good run game.
Yeah.
And that's 2 things we do have. So, and not just a good run game. We got 3 elite runners in the backfield.
Yeah, here's the way I'm looking at it, man. I'm looking at this as 2 totally different kind of operations. Number 1 is getting through the remaining month of the season and 4 very unique games. Notre Dame should be favored in all of them, getting through that. And then seeing what your situation is in the playoff and seeing what they do with that seeding, seeing where you match up and what that bracket looks like, and then seeing if you have it in you to make a run, play some good defense, run the ball a little bit, maybe slide into the 7 or 8 seed to be able to host a game the week of Christmas in South Bend and it's nice and cold. Maybe you could get a warm weather team to come up and get a win there and get a major bowl win for the first time since the 90s. Like there's a lot on the line, but it's dangerous to look ahead because I just have no idea what's going to happen with any of this. No idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah. Army, Virginia, Florida State, and especially USC, dirty bastards, they would be, nothing probably make their season other than beating us and upsetting us.
Yeah.
And I just, they all 4 of those really, especially after the Illinois loss, Northern Illinois. It's very feasible that any 4 of those teams, if we don't play, could beat us.
Yeah, it's interesting because each of them are a totally unique, different situation, the way I'm looking at it. And I want to see how much better Notre Dame could get the last month. I don't want you to just cruise and be what you are. I want to see them get better. You're used to the injuries you have now. You've adjusted to them. Like the O-line's been playing together for a while now, the reconfigured O-line. Like I want to see Notre Dame keep getting better, not just plateau in November. Keep getting better.
Right. And I think they have. That's something they've not been stagnant. Each game since their off week, I think they've improved on offense, and the defense keeps stepping up for us with all the injuries and stuff. And one other thing, and I'll let you go because I got to get back to work before they fire me. But the kicker actually worries me. We definitely need a kicker in the rest of the season and in the playoffs if we make it.
Yeah, you got Jeter's hurt. I don't know what the story is. Jeter's hurt, and I don't know. Maybe you're just gonna have to go for it on every 4th down or something if you're across the 50 and not try and kick. But you are bringing up a good point, especially in the postseason. You're gonna want that. And I don't. Does anybody have an update on Jeter's injury? I have no update on that. I don't know. Good question.
I haven't heard either.
Yeah, good question.
But John, I appreciate you taking my call, and listen to you every day, man. So
Hey,
keep it up.
listen.
Like what you do.
Dude, I appreciate you, man. I don't want you to risk getting fired, getting in trouble at work to call me, but I appreciate the hell out of it, man. Enjoy the week off. Watch some football, drink some beers, and don't worry about Notre Dame. Enjoy this weekend, okay?
I will. Thank you, bud.
Have a good one, man. Take care. Thanks for the call. All the way from West Virginia, man. I love that accent. I got to tell you this, man. Anybody that's in here, like, he's like, man, I don't want to get fired or whatever. I really appreciate that. Risking the job there. You guys, guess who I think is on hold, man? We might find out if Notre Dame piled in on Navy too much to offend or not. We might very well find that out. Andrew, you're not piling on me. I know you're not piling on me, and I know that my Kelly thing is a little different, and the way that I go at it is a little different, and it's very personal to me, and I'm just never going to let it go. It's never going to change. So I don't expect anybody else to be like that or whatever, feel exactly the way I do. But for me, I'm never going to let it go. It's always going to be personal. For the 80th time, it isn't just you didn't win the big games and develop a quarterback. It's you treated people like crap and you didn't even try. And those are unacceptable things for Notre Dame's coach. The least I could expect is that when I put my head on the pillow at night, that I know the Notre Dame head coach is doing all he can to make the team better. I didn't feel that with Kelly because I heard behind the scenes he simply refused to get out and recruit. And that's unacceptable to me. Didn't even try. So I just can't. I'm never going to be okay with that. So when you treat people bad and you don't do everything you can to further the team, you're dead to me. I don't respect that. So whatever, man. Who else is it personal with, John? How much time you got? 917, he's here. Everybody wants to know. Did Notre Dame pile it on Navy and are you offended? Everybody's been asking. I've literally had 20 people ask me what you think about that game, sir.
Hey, John, it's Pat from West Palm. Thanks for taking the call.
No problem, buddy. I knew it was you, and I got to tell you, that is the number one question everyone here asked after we beat up on Navy is, are you going to be mad thinking we piled it up on them like the other game?
There's a difference between blowing a team out and running up a score. I have no problem with blowing a team out. My problem was throwing the ball inside of 2 minutes against Stanford when we were up 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That was my problem.
I think that makes sense. And listen, when they turn it over 6 times, you're going to score a lot of points. Like it's hard to blame somebody when somebody turns it over 6 times and one of them was like in the end zone, you're going to score a lot of points. So I do understand it. I understand that.
You know, I do think that there's a very real possibility that the Notre Dame coaching staff saw that YouTube clip where I said I was disgusted, and they changed their ways. Because if you watched the game last weekend, we handed the ball off inside of 2 minutes. And so to the extent the Notre Dame coaching staff actually reviewed that and have changed their ways and seen the error that they made, good for them.
I would
them. And
listen, man.
I still think it was disgusting what they did against Stanford.
I would really like to think I would like to think this show has that kind of power, but I really doubt it. I really do doubt it. I don't think they're watching the show. I do know for a fact that Kelly and Swarbrick they had somebody monitoring what I was saying. I know that for a fact behind the scenes, but with Freeman and Bavacqua, I don't know if that's the same, but I do know for a fact behind the scenes from somebody in the football building, there was somebody monitoring under Kelly and Swarbrick what I was saying, but I don't think we're there yet with this regime. So I doubt that happened, but maybe they just have that respect for Navy that they would never do that. Maybe it's just that.
Well, I think you might be selling yourself a little short, but the real reason I'm calling in is, you know, I think I might be the only person that was troubled by learning a few weeks ago that Notre Dame basketball has the #1 recruiting class. And the reason I'm troubled is, you know, to me, recruiting is all about money, right? It's all about how much NIL money you're going to funnel to these kids. And I was thinking to myself, how is it that the basketball head coach is able to get the number one class? And yet, Freeman seems to be struggling in the recruiting front, and we lost that kid Deuce Knight.
Is it just a totally different world? Is it just a totally different world? Like, that's where my reaction would be, is those are just such different animals.
Here's why it's not. Here's why it's not. I have never met someone that rooted for Notre Dame basketball and didn't also root for Notre Dame football. I have met people who love Notre Dame football and couldn't give a rat's behind about Notre Dame basketball.
Yeah, that's
what I'm getting at is the NIL money that comes from, well, look, these schools for decades, they had boosters who just funneled money directly to the athletes, right? Those boosters now funnel their money to these collectives, these NIL collectives, and then they give them the money. Notre Dame, I like to think, didn't have a list of boosters funneling money to kids. So then the question then is, how do these collectives come about? How do they get their money? I think it's because the university, gets involved and goes to some big donors and says, look, you used to give, $1 million a year to the university, unrestricted. How would you like to give, some money to this collective? And the collectives then get formed. The university pretends they have nothing to do with it, but they have to have something to do with it. Otherwise, the collectives would have no idea which players to offer money to, right? There has to be some university involvement there. And my concern is that the clowns in the administration are giving an undue amount of money to basketball, not enough money to football, because we just got outbid by Auburn or Ole Miss. Whoever's going to get Deuce Knight outbid us, right? And yet on the basketball side of the house, we're not getting outbid. That's strange. And it's troubling. And I wonder if basketball isn't cannibalizing the football monies available to get the best players.
I think these are kind of separate operations. I get what you're saying, but I just think they're disconnected. And the other thing is, man, it's a lot easier to have a good recruiting class in basketball because you only need 3 guys to do that, right? Like, that's the other part that I struggle with. You need like 20-something guys to have a good recruiting football class. You only need like 3 good guys, and you're going to rise up in the basketball thing. So I just look at these as like totally different worlds. And I'm going to be totally transparent here. I'm not a basketball guy. It doesn't move the needle for me. I'm not acting like I'm talking with any knowledge. I know almost nothing about how Notre Dame basketball operates behind the scenes, and I can't act like I do. It just doesn't move the needle for me. I want to see them do well, but not enough that I know all what goes on and how they operate.
No, I get all that there's fewer players. My point is there's a fixed pool of money, I think, of people who fund these collectives. I wonder if
there's no
collective money.
There's no way. There's no way. The university knows football is where their bread gets buttered. There's no way they would be like, you know what we're going to do? We could either have Deuce Knight or a basketball guy, and they're going to divert the money to the basketball. It ain't going to happen. Basketball doesn't move the needle in Notre Dame. It never has. It's just not, or at least in the modern era. They would never do that.
So John, I have to respectfully disagree. That clown Swarbrick used to pad his own resume and pat himself on the back because the women's basketball team was good. I think you underestimate how wine and cheese towards football the administration has become. And I think that, my fear is, Notre Dame's going to go the Georgetown model of, pinching your nose and accepting 3 or 4 basketball players a year that are tops in the country because it's such a small number of the overall student body. And they're not going to pony up the money, for the large number of football players that you need. Anyway, I thought it was to me, it was concerning that Deuce Knight bolts in the very same month that it's announced that we have the number 1 hoops recruiting class. And maybe that's a coincidence. Maybe they're totally separate. I hope you're right. But I have no confidence that the administration puts the value on football that you and I do. I don't have confidence in that at all. And I think I think Swarbrick skated by for all of his failures, for all those 12, 13 years he was in place, because he pointed to things like women's basketball and lacrosse and all this garbage that I don't pay any attention to, and most people don't, and it's not where Notre Dame's bread is buttered. But the idiots that manage Swarbrick seem to have been impressed by all that stuff.
Okay, so let me ask this. Do you think that Bavacqua being in here is the new AD that literally has football experience or whatever, that even he is would go down that path? Because he seems pretty well invested, at least when he speaks about furthering the football operation.
I'm going to hold my tongue on Bavacqua because the jury's out.
Or are you going to say that there's people he has to answer to that actually have the money that make the decision, like steer him? Is that going to be an angle? I'm just throwing things out there. I don't know where you're going to go.
Well, look. My concern with Bavacqua was I watched an interview he sat with Marcus Freeman, and they were very chummy, the two of them. This is before the season. They sat down for an interview, and they were very chummy, and their kids playing the same football team or whatever, some school team. And they go to school together, and Bavacqua was the one texting Freeman about how the team did because Freeman's too busy at work. And that relationship seemed a little too tight for my liking. Because I think that the day may come. We're not here yet, but the day may come when Freeman needs to be let go. And it gets a lot harder to do that when you're buddy with your subordinate. And I don't think Bavacqua has that power anyway. I think the president of the school has to kind of buy in to terminating the head coach and that kind of thing. I'm going to hold my tongue on Bavacqua. I know of him. I'm going to leave it at that. From various,
What about the new football facility? Somebody brought that up. $300 million for the new football facility. Is that not buy-in, or is that not really count because that money was earmarked by a family and that's what they wanted and they ponied up for it, so that you don't really get credit for that one?
Bavacqua gets credit for that? He just got on the job.
Just the powers that be. Whatever you consider the powers to be, investing in a $300 million football facility.
John, I think I called in several months ago. There's two criteria for a recruit to come to Notre Dame. Girls, and that's the same at any school. These facilities, it's all nonsense. I mean, who cares? You think Deuce Knight didn't choose us because of the facilities? And no, he wants the money. What are we talking about here? It's about money. And unfortunately, when players like Deuce Knight look elsewhere, it's clear that we're getting outbid. We're getting outbid. The same thing happened with the receiver this past summer. We got outbid. And so I don't think facilities matter. I think in this day and age, I'm not even sure coaching matters that much. Because I think that they, to a high school kid, most coaches are all the same. It's all about money. And we're getting outbid, and that's very concerning.
Man, like with that
again, on the other side of the house,
I don't know, man. A lot of people are saying that the money isn't as big of a deal for Notre Dame. And if they really want somebody, they could do it. And with Meadows down with Meadows at LSU, I heard Notre Dame was willing to match whatever it is. And the rumor was like $300K guaranteed, and Notre Dame had no problem matching that behind the scenes with LSU. But if a kid's even if you offer that, a kid could still not choose you. So it isn't always just about the money. Like Notre Dame could offer an equal amount and the kid just decides to go the easier path where they don't have to go to school. Like it could just it isn't just the money. They could decide to be like, I don't want to have to go to school every day. I'm going to LSU, right? Like there could be other reasons.
John. An old saying. Someone tells you it's not about the money, it's about the money, right? That's true in every walk of life, everywhere you go. So, I mean, you're saying Notre Dame would match. Forget matching. Why aren't we paying these kids more? Pay them more. Do what it takes to get this kid to come. But they're not doing that. And I'm just concerned that, Freeman's on the recruiting front. This is all just a money game. The whole Deuce Knight thing was, we offered X, Auburn offered 2X, we matched, Auburn then upped it, and we said forget it, and that was the end of that. And that's how it went down. I mean, this whole thing he's not sure about. No, he's trying to negotiate for even more money. I actually tipped my cap to Deuce Knight. He's squeezing every nickel out of the situation he possibly can. Good for him. But if Notre Dame wants to get serious about bringing in those kinds of players, the whole showing them facilities and how nice a guy Marcus Freeman is, that ain't going to get us far. We got to pony up the big bucks, and we got to pay more. We got to pay more, and we're not paying more. And so, I'm pessimistic about the future to seeing the way this recruiting thing's going down.
Let me tell you this, man. I like it when you call because you always get a reaction, man. You always get a reaction. Every one of your calls, you get a reaction. And I think that's the definition of an interesting caller here is, you're always, you always mix up the group. Anything else, my friend? Thanks for the call. We'll see what pushback you get.
No, I'm sure the clowns will call in and denounce me, whatever. That's fine. Happy to debate anybody, anytime, anywhere, whatever. But anyway, John, I really appreciate you taking the call, and have a happy Halloween.
Oh, you too, man. And enjoy the football without Notre Dame. Relax.
All right, man. Take care.
Have a good one. He's always got something fresh. Pat, what's going on? 615 after that. Yeah, he's off. What's up?
You could bring me on with him. We've done it before. You did it with Gilmore and I.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
there's a way I could do it, but I would want to set that up at a certain time and a place, not 10 minutes left at the end of the show. Go ahead.
Everything he just said is total bullshit, and John, and you know it. And I know you're not calling him on it on the phone because you're trying to be a nice guy to your callers, but it was just complete total bullshit. First of all, you don't overpay for somebody. If a guy's getting offered $300,000 to go to LSU, and you offer him $300,000 to go to Notre Dame, and he says, no, I'd still rather go to LSU for the same amount of money, that means he doesn't want to go to Notre Dame. And if you go and say, all right, fine, we're going to give you $500,000 to come to Notre Dame, what's the likelihood if something goes bad or he's not playing well, you just lost out on $500,000 because then he just transfers at the end of the season because he's pissed about playing time or he's pissed about the quarterback or he's pissed about the fact that he has to go to class, and he just transfers right back to LSU. Did you see what Quinn Ewers did to Ohio State before he went to Texas? He got a whole bunch of money to go to Ohio State, transferred before the season, before the semester was even out to Texas. So they just lost a shit ton of money on him. No, so you don't overpay a guy. You don't just go and pay him more. You pay the market value. And if the kid still picks another school, that means he didn't want to go to your school to begin with. And the idea that you're just going to go, oh, they're paying him $500,000, we're going to give him $1 million. You're just setting yourself up. You're setting yourself up for failure. It's the dumbest freaking thing I've ever heard. Ever. You're just pissing money away. And if you actually want to be a good football program, then you don't do something like that. You find the kids that want to go there, and then you pay them what they are worth. And if the kid is going to go take more money to go play somewhere else, the same thing's going to happen as what we're seeing. They end up transferring all over the freaking country because they find out they took money and money wasn't what they were looking for. Holy smokes, what a dumb freaking thing. And then the idea that you're giving more money to the basketball program than the football program. What stupid shit is that? Seriously, this guy's got to go back to his wife and have her take the phone away because he calls in and says the stupidest effing shit I've ever heard. He has no evidence to base anything off of this. You have sources. You have told me multiple times that Notre Dame is matching the money.
All right,
kids aren't coming
Pat,
to Notre Dame for other seasons.
He's back on. Do you want to just do this? He's back.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's get into this.
All right. I'm Patrick, I'm going to bring you up. Oh boy, here we go. I might have to timestamp this one, figure out where to cut the debate. Here we go. Do I got you back, caller in Palm Beach?
Yeah, this is Pat from West Palm.
Okay, you guys are both, I got double Pats on here. You guys could go ahead and talk this through.
Well, first thing I want to know is where is your supporting evidence that says that Notre Dame is not paying these kids, is not making the money, doesn't have the money available? Is this just a feeling that you have, or do you have some sort of proof that this is the case?
What is the highest level of education you achieved?
What does that matter?
Because wherever you went to school, you really ought to get a refund.
Hey, you know
Because
what?
if you don't understand,
because John and I graduated from the same college together, we have the same freaking degree. So if you want to come after me and where I went to school,
you need to
maybe
get a
you
refund.
stop kissing John's ass because you just insulted him too, dickhead.
No, I'm insulting you.
No,
you ought to get a
John and I
refund.
went to the same school for the same shit, asshole. You want to come after my education? All you are is an arrogant prick at this point that you think you're smarter than people.
I am smarter than you.
No, you're a freaking hand job. You're a walking hand job, you piece of shit.
Wait.
Now, let's get on to the subject. Let's get on to the subject of hand.
Let's get to the subject.
Do you have that Notre Dame isn't paying these players? Because John has
the fact that they're not coming
in the recruiting office. John has contacts with former players who have connections to Brady Quinn, who runs the Notre Dame Collective, that says they are. So what's your proof?
The proof is Deuce Knight said he wanted to come to Notre Dame for an extremely long period of time.
Yes.
And all of a sudden he leaves. What do you think?
And the proof is also his mother didn't. The family is out there. They wanted him to stay local.
Stop. Stop with that. He's not staying local. Auburn's very far away from where the man lives.
In the South.
What?
He's staying in the South. It's a state over.
The South. You know how big the South is? That's not local.
He's from Mississippi and he's going to Auburn. It's one state over.
One state over is pretty damn far. Pretty damn far. Look, if you want to walk through life
from Foxy, Mississippi.
I don't know how far is it?
I think it's like a 7-hour drive. Because
we're talking about dollars and cents here. We're not talking about miles.
He's still getting the dollars and cents. He's getting the same dollars and cents he was getting at Notre Dame. We're talking about he's getting the same amount of money, and he gets to be several hours closer to his family.
Then, please stop with the whole family. Come on.
What proof? What proof do you have?
Really?
Notre Dame isn't equal number that Auburn is. Tell me what proof you have.
This whole conversation is silly.
Why can't you answer that question? Who told you Notre Dame isn't offering the same money?
I think Notre Dame should offer more money. Yeah, listen.
Okay, how do you know Notre Dame isn't?
What? I don't know, but I know he's not taking it.
You don't know. But I do know that I have a friend who you listen to his show is connected to people in the recruiting office, is connected to people behind the collectives, and we know that Notre Dame is paying. You know Notre Dame ranks in the top 10 in terms of players.
They're never going to say.
Notre Dame's NIL deals are ranked in the top 10 in the entire country. That is a fact. You have no evidence.
They're never going to say. You think they're going to say we got outbid? Of course not, because it makes their bosses look bad. Don't you know how big operations work? That if you badmouth your boss, which is what you're doing by saying I got outbid, that you get fired for that? Don't you realize that? Don't you realize? And do you really need to think that a kid getting offered more money? What?
You aren't saying anything. You're just saying, so they're going to admit they're being outbid? No, they're not going to say anything. They're not going to say anything about money. They're not going to say anything about the family because that's not how you operate. It's not out there saying.
And then what's your source? Then what's your source that we're getting? Then what is your source that they're paying the same money?
Show. His name is John Kennedy.
And he says what?
And he says Notre Dame, the Notre Dame Collective is paying players. They are matching their bids.
Here's wait.
Example of the
here's where I'm at.
Notre Dame offered the same amount of money.
Here's what I've been told. Let me jump in here. Here's what I can say about what I've been told about Notre Dame's collective and where this is all at. I have been assured that if there's a player Notre Dame really, really wants, money is not going to be an issue. They're not right in the mix for that player. They're not scared to put up big money. They're not scared to be in that game. I've just been told the money is not going to be a reason. Notre Dame's not in the mix for a big time player. I think there's a part of this though, where sometimes it isn't just the money. Like you could offer more money and a kid maybe just doesn't want to go to your school still. Like, I don't think that the money is the only factor. there's a lot of other things involved here besides the money. But I have been assured if there's a player Notre Dame wants, the money is not going to be the main reason they don't get him. And they're not afraid to match. They matched every dollar for Meadows with that LSU put up. The Notre Dame was right there matching it, saying we're not losing this due to a difference on that. They were willing to match it. But I think there's other things involved here too.
Look, it's money or it's a girl. One of those two things is what drives you.
Oh my freaking God!
The rest is just smart.
You know what you're talking about. You have no. You're just sitting here. This is how I know you're full of shit. Because you called in a couple weeks ago after the Stanford game and you said we're not thugs and we don't play like that. And no, dude, you're living in some like 1986 reality that you think still applies today. You know what wins? You get great football players from all over the country who play football, and you score
for money
points.
or for a girl. Yeah,
you don't stop scoring points, and you sit there and you somehow try to rationalize this football team with the Miami team of the late 80s because they kept throwing the foot. They got their backup quarterback, not their starting quarterback. They got their backup quarterback reps in a game that was well in hand. And you equate that to being the Catholicsburg Convicts of 1988. You're not in reality anymore. This is 2024. There is a playoff. Style points matter. Money is being paid to these guys. You need to get out of whatever you were and realize college football has changed. I'll be the first one to say I don't like it either. I don't like what college football has turned into, but I have accepted it, and now I am willing to do the things that are required to win today. And I don't think you
more money.
I don't even think you have any understanding of that.
Then pay more money to get these players. You keep saying match. And then the whole running up the score thing. I think I've been vindicated. I've been vindicated on that.
If you go and pay a kid, if you offer a kid $500,000 and they say, well, I'm getting $500,000 from LSU, so I'm going to go to LSU. So they say, oh, you know what? We'll pay you $750,000 to come to Notre Dame. And then comes to Notre Dame, and it turns out he's not as good, or he doesn't get the playing time he likes, or he doesn't like his wide receiver coach, or he doesn't like the offensive scheme, or he doesn't like South Bend because it's cold in the winter. He transferred because there's nothing to hold him here.
Do you think that's how negotiations go?
What?
Okay, that's how negotiations go. Let me educate you. Negotiations go.
Go ahead.
Notre
Educate
Dame
me on how the NIL works.
Notre Dame offers 1,000. LSU or whatever, Auburn offers 700,000. See, they don't match. They offer more. Now it's our job to offer even more than that. Do you see how this works? They ratchet up the money you're getting. You keep talking about matches, so you don't even know how a negotiation works, which is terrifying to me.
Pay the market value of the player. If you want a kid to come to your program and leave your program after the first season because of they don't like the academics, they don't like the weather, the girls aren't as hot as they are down in the south, whatever thing that you want to come up with, the kids can transfer at any point. So if you get a kid to come to Notre Dame because you overpaid him when an SEC school is willing to pay him.
No,
after the first year, overpaid. Ohio State paid Quinn Ewers $1 million to go to Ohio State. He stayed one semester and transferred to Texas. $1 million.
We paid Aaron Lynch
for a star.
We paid Aaron Lynch $0, and he was gone after a year. So none of this stuff, like the very fact that you pay somebody doesn't make them more or less likely to leave. That's a ridiculous argument. That if you pay somebody top dollar, they're going to want that by itself causes them to want to leave. You know how ridiculous that is? You know how silly you sound?
And they leave. No, you are not listening. You get a kid to come to Notre Dame because you want the kid to come to Notre Dame. This is not because you paid him more. You match what the market value is and say, look, we're willing to pay what any of these schools are willing to pay you. We will pay you what you are worth. But we want to make sure you want to come to Notre Dame because at Notre Dame it's hard. The athletics is hard. The academics is hard. The winter is hard. It is hard to be at Notre Dame. It is not easy. It is not Alabama in the South in January. It is -10 degrees and 40-mile-an-hour winds blowing in a freaking
What is your point? Please get to your point.
My point is that you don't overpay a kid. You pay him his value and get him to commit to Notre Dame for other reasons. You don't get him to commit to Notre Dame just because of money, because they will not stay. They will not stay because of money.
You have no proof of that at all. You have no proof of that.
You do have proof of that. Look at college football right now. Kids are
name one Notre Dame player who was paid top dollar who left.
Look at what happened to Texas A&M 3 years ago.
I don't have to look at other schools. I can look at Notre Dame.
Listen.
Name one Notre Dame
3 years
guy
ago, Texas A&M had the #1 recruiting class in the country. They paid for every single one of those kids. 70% of those kids in their recruiting class are now gone from Texas A&M. They didn't. Half
what
of
does
that
that
class
have to do with Notre Dame?
First
What does
year
that do with Notre Dame?
because they didn't like it at Texas A&M.
Well, then they transfer. That's true of kids you don't pay a lot. That's true of kids we paid zero to for years and years.
Kids.
It doesn't. Overpaying doesn't make somebody dislike a school.
To come there,
you don't
what they want. You get them to come there because it's Notre Dame. You don't get them to come there because you're paying them money.
Then pay them zero. Then they should pay them zero. It's by your rationale. Paying somebody makes them dislike your school. You know how silly that is?
By my
rationale, I can't have this.
No, obviously you can't argue with me because you're a moron. You don't know what the hell
you're
talking
about. Your
IQ
IQ is just too low. Your IQ is too low. The fact that you pay somebody doesn't make them dislike
I'm kicking your ass all over the place because you don't have anything foundational to stand on. You have this
foundational,
idiotic.
You don't even know what. Can you spell that word?
Idea.
Can you spell that word?
What?
Spell foundational. Spell it.
Dude, kiss my ass. You think you're smarter than me?
Spell it.
I'm not the one who has to have my wife give me permission to call a podcast.
Spell foundational, because I don't think you know what the word means.
Dude, are you crazy right now? I'm not going to spell foundational. Is this just
spell it?
Jag off you are. You said you would debate anyone, anytime, anywhere, and you are trying to get me to spell. You're trying to get. Hey, you want me to get my 8-year-old? You don't know what the word is. For you because she'll do it. She'll do it because she's 8 and she doesn't give a shit. Me, I'm trying to talk about what.
You don't know what the word means. You don't know what the word means. You don't know what the word means. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh my God!
That's why I'm asking you to make sure we're talking about the same word. You said foundational. It doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't even make any sense. So you're just stammering and repeating yourself. I'm here to tell you that if a kid goes to different schools because Notre Dame didn't offer them enough money, and if you're saying match, I say offer him more. That way you get him to come to your school, he makes friends, and then he stays at the school and plays well. This whole garbage about overpaying makes somebody dislike your school is so ridiculous. I don't even know how to respond to it. How does that even make sense?
Yeah. Do we want to, are we at the point now, maybe we each should make a closing statement here. We're starting to kind of go back around. Do we each want to maybe do that? Make a final point here to get your point across here?
Yes, my final statement is this. If you want players to come play for Notre Dame football, you got to pay them more, or you got to pay them as much as they want if you want the player. And if you're not getting a player, it's because you're not paying enough. There's other criteria about, the fit and all this other stuff. That's all secondary stuff. It's all garbage. Every football player these days can get through the College of Arts and Letters and get a passing grade. It isn't that tough anymore. It's just not. And so the fact that we're losing out on top players means we're not paying enough through our collective. I have grave concerns about that. I'm very concerned that the athletic department as a whole is diverting funds to other sports, non-football sports, but I don't have direct proof of that other than the fact that basketball is number one, and that tells me that they're paying top dollar. So if you want to get somebody to come to your school, pay top dollar. That's it. It's that simple. Notre Dame's not doing it. That's why we're losing out on top players, and that's a shame. Go ahead.
What's sinful is that we know Marcus Freeman has all the resources necessary to recruit at Notre Dame at a top level. He has a collective that is going to pay every kid that he's recruiting the amount of money he needs to pay them. He has all the resources of the university finally behind him. They're investing incredibly into the football program. He has the highest paid offensive and defensive coordinator in the country, maybe the second highest paid defensive coordinator in the country. Notre Dame clearly is not holding back on the money when it comes to the football program. They have clearly invested in this football program. It's not about money. There's something else going on for why these kids are not coming here. It's probably the same old diatribe of, why do you want to go to Notre Dame? You could come here, you could play early, you could go play in the NFL. And Notre Dame has had a glass ceiling on the South since Lou Holtz was let go in '95 that has never allowed them to get the kids out of the South that they need to get. And it's not about money. It's about recruiting. It's about recruiting of the coaching staff. And you'll never be able to convince me otherwise. Until Notre Dame can get a kid to come out of the South and win big and show they can play well and win big at Notre Dame and have success like Holtz used to do in the 90s, you're never going to get a football program. You're never going to be at the pinnacle that you need to be at. This is not about money. This is about recruiting. The money's there. The university has proven that the money is there. They have given it to you. You have a collective with billionaires, but the hedge fund billionaires behind it. The money is there. Notre Dame is making its offers. It ranks in the top 10 as far as NIL deals paid to its players. We know they're doing it. We got to stop with that. It is not the case anymore. It's a recruiting issue. It is of the coaching staff itself. They are working hard. They are finding great players, but they are not closing on the best, and they have to figure that out.
I thank you guys for participating. I didn't expect this on a Wednesday. And I really do mean that for you both taking time out of your day to come here and argue it.
Let me add one more thing, John, off topic, but I didn't mean to get aggressive with the cursing. That is not my intention. But dude, don't ever come at me again about how educated I am and what degree I have and I need to get my money back. That's just a bunch of BS. And even just insult me. John went to the same school I went. Angela Rudiker went to the same school I went. And that is just a hack line of debate. And I have no time for that. And that's why I snap.
Don't ever get on a debate and call me stupid again. I don't ever want to hear it out of your mouth.
Don't say something stupid like that. I won't call you stupid.
All right, well, then I'm going to ask what your education level is because it's not very high.
Here we go again.
I have a college bachelor.
Here we go again. We're going back around.
I have the same degree John Kennedy has. So you want to insult it, you insult the
and
guy
then you
that
should get a refund. Go get a refund. Write a letter.
John, you got to go get
your money back.
Go get a refund, John.
Oh, man.
No, you.
All right, guys. All right. This was very, very interesting and entertaining. Are we done now? Can we all go on with our day? There we go. Okay. So we're all
done. Thanks.
No problem. We're all gonna, okay. I hung up on the double call. That's going to be, we have a few more callers. This is going to, you don't follow that up. This is going to, that's the end. There's no more calls coming after this. That ended it for the day. Anybody else on hold, you're going to have to call on Friday. I'm sorry. We're already past our time. And there was a lot of meat on that bone. Wow. $2 holler. That went off the rails fast on a bye week. Adam with the $2 holler. I didn't expect the personal stuff, but it was nice flair for a Wednesday. I really do appreciate, here's the thing I'm going to say to finish this. I appreciate that both of those people care about Notre Dame enough to come in here and do that. That's the number one thing. I really do appreciate that, that they both did that. So here's the deal, man. Thanks for the calls. Thanks for the chats. Thanks for the donations. Yeah, that was a little bit wild. I'll have something for you guys tomorrow. We'll have a video tomorrow. I'll have something tomorrow night for you specifically for Halloween to lighten the mood a little bit from the heaviness of what we just saw. Lighten the mood a little bit, and we'll be back Friday. Thanks, everybody. You never know what you're going to get here. It's never boring.